Welcome back, guys. Today we have a medium to difficult question in front of us. So let's start. A group of bikers have planned to travel a total distance of 250 kilometers. During the journey, they will visit seven different cities A, B, C, D, E, F, and G, not necessarily in order, including the two terminal cities. The group of bikers will visit each city only once and they will not repeat any portion of the path traveled. So basically, there are seven cities one, two, three, four, five, six, and seven. And a group of bikers are going through each city from start to end, and they're not repeating any path. So if they go from A to C, suppose, and they won't come back this path again, they'll proceed in a straight way, going through every city once. That's what the question says till now. Let's go. If it is given that the distance between any two cities is 100 kilometers, it means that the bikers traveled 100 kilometers while traveling from one of these two cities to another in some order. So, what this point, this is a very important point, and what this conveys is suppose this is a city called A and this is a city called E. Now, from A to E, we might have 75 kilometers of distance in total, but we can either go directly from A to E and cover the 75 kilometers, or we can go like this. We can go to another city, namely, let's say D. If we go to D first, and let this be some X distance, then we go to C, let this be some Y distance, and let's go from C to E and let this be XYZ. So basically, we are indeed going from A to E. That will mean x plus y plus z. The distance of A to D, D to C, and C to E will be a sum of total 75 kilometers. This is what the question is telling us till now. I hope this is clear because this is going to be very important as we proceed further. Yeah. Now, regarding the distances between a pair of cities among the seven, the following facts are known. Let's start the question now. The distance between Agombe. One pointer I would like to say, in questions like these, it's better to read all of the points at once rather than starting from, the first point and let's start. That will complicate if we start from A and B right now, 86, and then we proceed so on. So it might take a lot of time. So it's better to read all of the given information first and then start with your assumptions. The distance between Agombe and Balam, we'll just say A and B is 86 kilometers. The distance between Eluri E and A is 75 kilometers. B and D is 62. So these three are straight away facts. The city Gomo is located at a distance of 72 and 111 from C and D respectively. We can write this here so that we don't have confusion. GD and GC, that is 72 and 111. The distance between AC and the distance between AG are both less than 60. So AC less than 60 and AG similarly is less than 60. During the journey, the maximum distance in kilometer between two consecutive cities is an even number. So if this two city has been covered, so maximum whatever distance, let's suppose this is A and G, if these two cities have the maximum distance between them, this would become an even number automatically. So while solving the question, whenever there comes a point of taking the largest distance possible between any two consecutive cities, that would be an even number. We'll keep this in mind. Next point. The last stretch of the journey between the sixth and the seventh city visited was the shortest distance. So basically, we can mark it here. This is going to be the shortest distance. This, the last two cities will have the shortest distance between them. This shortest distance was immediately preceded by the longest distance traveled between any two consecutive cities, as well as this distance is going to be the longest. This is giving in the question. And what do we know about the longest? It's going to be an even number. Fine. Now, let me remove this A and G. This was just for assumption. Now, let's begin. What I have observed in the first three facts that A and B and D. So basically, B and B are common and A and D are there, as well as A and A is common here and B and E are given. So let's start with the first point. It's given as A to B is 86 kilometers, right? Now I will take the third point because you will see 62 kilometers is less than the 86 kilometers, right? So what do we see here? If we take B to D like this, or we can have another way of taking A to D and D to B, where D to B is 62. We know A to B is 86, so that automatically makes A to D as 24. So we have two cases in front of us, right? Now, let's go to Eluri and Agumbe is 75. Let's keep it here for now. The city Gomo is located at a distance of 72 and 111 kilometers from C and D. We don't get anything about A and C right now. So let's see here. Don't get anything about A right now. And as you'll see, A is given a lot of times in the entire question. So A and C and A and G are both less than 60 kilometers. Okay. 72 kilometers is the distance between G and C. What if we put G here? Where can we put C? We can put C somewhere before G or somewhere between D and B. Why is this? Can you see? We know that C and G are at a distance of 72. So if we put we put C before G, this distance would be 72. That would conflict with the distance between A and C being less than 60 kilometers because we are already covering 72 and then we are reaching A. So this case is not possible. So G cannot be before A. Now where can G be? Let's see. I'll take blue for assumptions. If we take G in between D, then C needs to come either before A or between D and B. So G to A is less than 60. C to A is also less than 60. But we know G to D is equals to 111, which is false here. As you can see, this distance at max can be 24 and thus it conflicts with the 111 kilometer information. So G cannot be between A and D. Now let's see the next position of G. If we put G here, G to D cannot be 111 because the total distance, maximum distance between B and D can be 62. So it cannot be here as well. There's only one spot remaining for G. Let's see if it uh, stays there. G. Now, if G is here, can in any circumstance distance between A and G be less than 60? No, because it's already 62 here and 24 here. So technically, we see we cannot place G in any of the possible cases where A to D is 24 and D to B is 62. So this entire case 2 is wrong. We'll just remove it. We have to continue with the first case, that is A to B and B to D being 86 and 62 respectively. Now let's see. Let's try to put G here. We know that 62 plus 86 is definitely greater than 111. So we can try putting G somewhere between here, A and B. Suppose I put G here. This distance X and this distance Y will add up to 86. What do we know about y? We know that G to D is 111. That means y plus 62 is equals to 111. That means y equals to 111 minus 62, isn't it? So this makes it 9 and 10. So 49. 62 plus 49, it is 111, is it? Yes, it is. So this would be, let me raise y, 49, and x would automatically become, I guess, 7, 56, 37. Okay. So we have place G. Now, what is the other information given about C, right? G and C are at a distance of 72 kilometers. Let's try putting C now. For C, we'll take yellow color. It's ha. If we try to put C before A, can C and G be at 72 kilometer? Yes, they can be. Can we put C between A and G? No, we cannot. We need at least uh, greater than 72. So we need at least 72 difference between two cities. Similarly, we cannot put C here because C and G would be less than 72 kilometers. If we put C here between B and D, it will satisfy the case where G and C have a distance of 72 kilometer. But as we see in point 5, that A and C also are less than 60 kilometers. So we cannot put C here and we cannot put C here. There's only one space remaining for C, that is before A. So let me just clear this up and put C before A. This is C, A. Okay. Now we have uh, C to A is less than 60 and C to G is 72. That means 37 minus, we'll take 37 out of 72. That gives us 5, and this becomes 335. Ha. So we have completed A, C, A, G, B, and D. The only two cities that are remaining are E and F. Okay, let's sum it up for now because we have a total of 250 kilometers, right? So how much have we covered till now? 35 plus 86. That is 115, 621 plus 62. That makes 183 kilometers done. So how much is left? 250 minus 183, 7 and 14, 8, 6. So we have 67 kilometers left. And we have E and F remaining. Do we have any information on either of those, E and F? Okay, we have in point 2, distance between A and E is 75 kilometers. How can we use it? Let's see. Let's see where we can place E. Can we place E before C? Uh, E to A is 75 kilometers. Therefore, yes, we can. And that means E to C would need to be 40 kilometers and C2 is already 35 kilometers. That makes the total of 75. Okay. Can we place E between C and A? No, we cannot because the distance between E and A is 75. Similarly, we cannot put it between A and G. We can try putting it E between G and B because the total is going to be total distance between E and A will be 75 kilometers. Now, what is the problem here is if we try to put F, the entire 67 kilometers would go to F directly. Why is that? I'll tell you. Since we are putting E between G and B, we are not increasing, uh, the distance traveled anymore. It is getting summed up between this 49 and 37 kilometer itself. And now if you see this, we can only place F at the end here to cover the remaining 67, or we can place F here to cover the remaining 67. Now you'll ask, what is the problem with that? Now we come to the point where they say the maximum distance between two consecutive cities is an even number. For now, we have had 62 as the highest distance traveled, which is an even number. But is 67 an even number? No. So we cannot have E between G and B because it will lead to F being 67 kilometers either from C or D. Similarly, if we try to put it between B and D, it will not work. And if we tried putting after all of this, the distance between E and A, so if we try to put it between B and D, it will increase from 75. So we cannot try to put E here. It's all of a sad. So we now know that E's place is before C. I hope this is clear. If not, try to pause the video and rewind it or try to clear the doubt yourself by writing all of this down. Okay, I'll clear it up. I'll take a new color for E. E, C, that is 40. And let's clear this up. Okay, now how many kilometers are remaining? We had 67. 67, say we remove 40 kilometers, which have been covered. So remaining is only 27 kilometers. Now, how many distances we have? We have 40, we have 35. Between two consecutive cities, we have 37, 49, and 62. So out of all of these, we see that 27 is the lowest, right? And as we know by the last point, the shortest distance was uh, between the sixth and the seventh city. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That means the last. Yeah, this is the shortest distance, right? So this would be 27. So now we know that F comes after D, covering a total of 27 kilometers from D. So I think we have our answer now. I'll write it in the first row. That is, we start from E, we cover 40 kilometers. We go to C, we cover 35 kilometers. We reach A, we cover another 37 kilometers. We reach G, we cover a total of 49 kilometers to reach B. And now we cover the longest stretch, that is 62 kilometers to reach D. And at the end, we cover the shortest distance and reach F. Now we'll solve the questions on this. So the first question is, from which city the bikers started their journey? We can see from here, that is E would be the city we start our journey, and F would be the city that we finish our journey. So E. What was the distance in kilometer between the last two cities visited? So the distance, the sum of distance between B to D and D to F, that is 62 plus 27, that makes 89 kilometers. This was a data question, so we'll write 89 kilometers here. The name of the city the bikers visited first after traveling at least 125 kilometers is. So let's start from the beginning. We have 40, 40, 35, 75, 75. It is 112, 112, and at least we have crossed G and covered 125. It is around 160, I think. So the next city after covering at least 125 kilometers is B. So that's for us is B. B is Balan. Now, the fourth question, how many pairs of cities can be found among the seven cities, wherein the distance between the two cities in the pair is more than 40% of the total distance traveled by the bikers? So, the total distance we know is 250 kilometers. So, 40%, we'll calculate what is the 40% of 250, which is not difficult. That is 100 kilometers, right? Now, which two pairs sum up to be at least 100 kilometers? Is that the question? More than. So greater than 100 kilometers. So we have seven cities for ourselves from A to G. So we'll create a table so that we can count individual pairs A, B, C, D, E, and F. We'll omit the last G here. and we'll start with G, F, E, D, B, C. We will omit the first here. In this way, we have a table for ourselves where it will be somewhat of a step ladder. Uh, yes, and here. I hope you can see that we are only going to consider unique pairs, so it will be easier for us. Now, meanwhile, you can compare the cities A, B, C, D, E, F, G. We'll start now. A to G. A to G is 37. It's not greater than 100. A to F. A to F is definitely greater than 100. Yes. A to E. A to E is less than 100. A to D. A to D is again greater than 100. A to C is less than 100. A to B is again less than 100. B. Let's check for B. B to F is also less than 100, B to D is less than 100, B to G is less than 100, B to A. So only possible are B to C and B to E. So B to C, B to E, that is greater than 100. And for C, let's check for C. C to E is not, C to A is not, C to G is also not, but C to B is yes. So all ahead of B are also included. So B, D, and F. So I think C to B has already been taken care of. C to D, yes. C to F, again, yes. Now check for D. D, you need to check only E, F, and G. So D to E is definitely yes. Sorry, D to E. And D to G also, let's check. D to G is greater than 100. So we have it right. D to F, D to F is 27. So now E to G and E to F. E to G is definitely greater than 100. E to F is also definitely greater than 100. Now F to G is also greater than 100. So we have 2 to 4 to 6 to 8 to 10 and 1 11. We have 11 pairs of cities. We have our answer. Now look for the fifth question. If we do not use the point 7 given in the question, then which of the following cities can neither be the city where the journey started from nor was it terminated? Okay, so before considering, let's see what the seventh point was. Seventh point tells us about the distance factor, that the shortest distance was immediately preceded by the longest, and the shortest was the last traveled. So let's have a picture over here. We had yeah, we had C to D already before we got to the seventh point, right? So let's keep it here. We have C to A to G to B to D. Okay. Now, and we have 62 here. Total distance remaining was, I guess, 67, and cities remaining were D and E. Okay, we'll keep it here. Sorry, F and E. Uh, F and E. The highest or the largest distance was 62 that we already had for now. And the others also I'll just copy first. We have 35 here, 37 here, 49 here. Fine. And we have 67 remaining. How, what are the possible ways we can put it? Put E and F. And let's also consider the options. They are D, E, F, and C. So out of these four, there must be one city which cannot be the starting point or the termination point. So let's see. One solution we already got was with E starting and F ending, isn't it? So E and F definitely can be the starting and the ending point. Doesn't matter if this point 7 was given or not. We already have a solution. So that is uh, that can be considered as true. So E and F are out of the picture. Now we have to check for D and C. How do we do that? So if we try to put E, you remember that if we put E here, we got one solution. The other position which we could have put E was somewhere here. So now if we put E here, the distance of G to E and E to B is included in the distance of G to B, that is 49. So we have for us the entirety of 67 kilometers just for F. Now that F could be anywhere, F could be here. So if we put F here as 67 kilometers, because we are not told about the last city or the, you know, uh, largest distance traveled as being the last city. But let's pause here. Can we actually do it? I would say the answer is no. I'll take you back to the question because the concept of even number was given before the seventh point. So now the largest distance traveled must be an even number is true. So F cannot be here and E cannot be here. Why? Because E needs to at least cover 67 minus 62, that is 5 kilometers. And that can only happen if we place both E and F on the extremes. That is, I'll show you. We need E or F to cover at least 62 plus 5 or 64 plus 3, or we can have 66 plus 1. Understood? So in any case, we cannot have a pair with 0 and 67. Now, since we need at least 1 kilometer, we cannot add in between. We must add E or F at the end, and the distance can be anything. It can be 66 here and 1 here, or 3 here and 64, doesn't matter. But E and F will definitely be at the end. Now, since we know it can be at the end, can it be here? No, right? Now comes one last tricky part, that what about the positions of E and F? We know only one fact about E, that this is 75. So now we have F left with 35 is it 35? No, it is 27 kilometers. So now it can easily come here. We need not care about the largest distance being traveled, the second last, or the shortest being at the last. So in this case, we start with F and we end with D. So D can be the end point, yes. So we cross it off. There's only C, which cannot be the end point or the start point. So the answer is C.